Hi, good evening once again, students, and welcome to the Department of Chemical and Biomolecular Engineering student sharing session. Okay, let's begin. Okay, this is our program schedule for today. We'll start with a short welcome, following to the student sharing, and then we'll have a Q&A session, and last but not least, some feedback. Okay, here are our speakers for today. First, we have Faris, Archie, Jonas, and Shruti. So during the Q&A session, if you want to ask any questions live, set your name to the name that you signed up with and unmute yourself when it's your turn to ask. But anytime you have any questions during the presentations, please use the Q&A function. The chat has been closed so that it will be easier for us to track your questions. Okay, without further ado, I'll pass my time on to Faris. Thank you.
Okay, hello everyone. Right, hi everyone. As Coco mentioned, my name is Faris. Currently, I just finished my final semester at NUS and I'm set to graduate and I'm moving on to the next phase of my life very soon. And before university, I graduated from Singapore Polytechnic's Diploma in Chemical Engineering back in 2020. Maybe to share some quotes I currently live by or during my 3 years would be Tomorrow is Mine, which basically helps to push me along in getting through tough times and achieving my goals. For the next one is a reminder that when things don't go as expected, we should never give up and try harder next time. I've also included my contact details below, so if any of you has any questions regarding university or life or just want to connect, feel free to do so. Here are some of the more interesting courses that I've undertaken during the past 3 years. First up, we have CN2102, Chemical Engineering Principles and Practice 2, which is a lab-based core course aimed at introducing bioprocess engineering, normally done in Year 1, Sem 2. The so-called main event is this course. In this course is a project where we were tasked to produce an alcoholic beverage using baker's yeast, ensuring that they meet the required alcohol concentration, composition of aromatics, as well as contamination levels. We were given the freedom to decide the ingredients used, its quantities, and how they were prepared. And at the end of it, we also had a poster presentation sharing our experience, learning, and results to a member from the department. If you're super interested in bioprocesses, you can look forward to the newly created core course known as Fundamentals of Biomolecular Engineering, or even other technical electives for the biopharmaceutical specialization. Next, we have CN4205R, Breach Analysis and Process Integration. This course is essentially it is a technical elective which can be used to count towards two of the specializations, process engineering and safety and sustainability. This course is essentially about analyzing existing processes and implementing techniques on them to save energy and resources. This is especially crucial in the industrial sector as it has one of the highest contributions to the carbon footprint, and we as engineers should be striving towards more sustainable designs for processes. What I love about this course is that we were tasked to apply the concepts learned directly on an existing process as we learn about it through the semester. Even though many seniors warn that it is indeed a challenging course due to how abstract the concepts can be, Prof. Sachin who has been facilitating this course for a while now, is super dedicated and will take the time to make sure you understand what is being taught. Lastly, we have CN4119, Final Year Design Project. This year-long course is considered to be the grand finale of your undergraduate studies, and it is a graduation requirement for those matriculating the next academic year onwards. Students will take on the role of a contractor, hence the name Faris & Sons, tasked to design and develop a manufacturing plant from scratch, similar to those in Jurong Island or Tuas, which is done independently with your team members under minimal guidance from the professors. From designing a process pathway, fluid package, up to your safety considerations and cost estimates. For my cohort, we were tasked to design an amoxicillin manufacturing plant, and it is really interesting to see the concepts being applied in the pharmaceutical manufacturing context, which reinforces the idea that chemical engineering is indeed a versatile discipline and can be applied to many industries. So what am I busy with when I'm not grinding? In year 1 and year 2, I joined an organization known as CHES, which stands for the Chemical Engineering Student Society. It is basically similar to the student council or student chapter where we, number one, become the bridge between the student body and the department, and number two, we organize events to enrich the lives of student body as well as for outreach. I highly suggest join CHES because you will get to meet like-minded people across all levels and specifically the main committee to gain leadership experience. Besides being a projector in both years, I've also helped out with other committees in CHES through helping to plan and execute the events as a subcommittee member. They include being a participant for the 1 Million Trees movement, an OGL in the CHES FOP, and a planner/facilitator in the Chemi Challenge in year 1. For the picture on the bottom with Prof. Saif and Prof. Suraj, that was taken on the first day of the Chemi Challenge on 2024, where I serve as a project director. The Chemi Challenge is an event where we invite pre-university students to learn about chemical engineering on an undergraduate level through competitive experiments and hands-on activities in hopes for them to join our department. I've also volunteered my time as a peer tutor to provide extra help to my fellow classmates on core chemical engineering courses, and as a student ambassador for several exciting outreach events similar to this one and the CDE Open Day, which is happening next week, where we can have first-hand experience touring our labs and have a chat with our professors and students like us. Last but not the least, in order to keep me sane and active, I do my own training at the gym with a frequency of about four times a week as a science-based lifter with an upper-lower split. Now I'll pass on my time to Archie, who will share on her experience. Keep this.
Thank you, Faris. Okay. Okay, hi everyone. I hope you can see my screen. So, hi everyone, my name is Archie, and this is my sharing regarding my student life in NUS. So, a little bit of background from regarding me. So I was from Nanyang Polytechnic and I graduated in May of 2022 with a diploma in chemical and pharmaceutical technology. And during the course of my diploma studies, I realized that I was interested in chemical processes where raw materials can be converted to products that's being used in like our daily lives. That brings me on to university where I was a final year student similar to Faris, and I continued with my chemical engineering degree. And I did a specialization in process engineering. And as I was from Poly, my degree was 3 years instead of 4 years because as a Poly student, I can get up to 38 units worth of exemptions. And with that being said, 3 years was also having a 3 years degree was definitely really exciting because I gained new experiences, even though it might not be the normal 4 years, and I'll be sharing more later on. So starting off with academics, I took courses similar to Faris, and there were some fun courses I did as well. So there were the year one laboratory classes, technical electives, and the undergraduate research opportunities program, or UROPS for short. So starting off with year one lab classes. So these classes are meant to establish your fundamentals in chemical engineering, and we had to take both chemical engineering principles and practices 1 and 2. So for short, they are EPP 1 and 2. And for EPP 2, like what Faris mentioned, we made our own alcohol and we made it using our fruits. So we had to present, and it was very interesting. Then, as I mentioned previously, I did a specialization in process engineering. So, in order to get my specialization, I need to take 3 technical electives. And the 3 technical electives can be anything from a list of electives that the department has approved. So, I chose polymer engineering, which I did during my exchange. And back in university, back in NUS, I did food science and technology. And just recently, I completed control of industrial processes. And lastly, UROPS. So my project was based on 3D printing of blood vessels. So I was attached to a, a PhD supervisor and a master student who were working on this project. And basically, I helped them with their project. And I also learned a lot about how 3D printed blood vessels look like and how is it formulated. Beyond academics, I have been on student exchange program, or SCP for short, to the University of Delaware in the US. So with that, I got exposed to a lot of new culture in the US, and it also allowed me to travel around US freely. And some of the places I visited was New York City, Washington DC, Vegas, and Los Angeles. And moving on, I was also part of the Chemical Engineering Student Society, or CHES for short. So I was the project director of special projects where I planned industrial talks and community involvement projects for the chemical engineering student body. And through these experiences, I made new friends that were within the major, and I was able to hone my leadership skills as well. And currently, I'm also a global student ambassador under the Global Relations Office. So we plan events for the exchanges, and the picture that you're seeing on the left is actually taken after a welcome tea that happened in January. And this allowed me to interact with students from different parts of the world. And it also helped me build on my time management skills and teamwork because I was juggling my academics while I was planning events like these. And before I end off my presentation, here is a little advice. So when you're coming to university, just remember that there's a steep road ahead. So have a good network of friends. So and do not give up. Always persevere because it will get better. And with that, I've come to the end of my sharing. So if you have any questions after today's session, um, you can find me on LinkedIn through this QR code, or you can just search my name. Or if you want to ask any questions face to face, you can come for the CD open house happening next Saturday. And with that, I would like to pass my time to Jonas.
Uh, yeah, I hope you guys can see my screen. So before I begin, I will share a bit about myself. I graduated from NUS High School in 2020. Currently, I'm a year three student with a minor in CS and two specialization. I'm also doing my internship currently at A-Star. Uh, what I love to do in my free time is to travel, run, and play the guitar. And I am here to share my experience in NUS ChemEng. So my journey in NUS ChemEng began much like Faris and Archie. It started off with the first course in EPP1, where we learn on our first day how water flows from a bigger tank to a smaller tank. Sounds very dumb, but here are my group mates. We had a lot of fun. But throughout this course, you will mostly, well, as I mentioned, you see water flowing from a large tank to a smaller tank. It's to start off the foundation right for subsequent more theoretically intensive courses. And you can see here that we learn more about mass transfer, we learn about heat transfer, and we learn about um, just mostly about transfer in this course, I feel. But to summarize the course, we also did sort of a challenge to form like a very specific color using RGB, and it was quite fun. You can see in the GIF. Basically, it's just me and my group mates scrambling to try and win. We did not win, obviously, but we did have a lot of fun in this course. So moving on to the next phase would be the second EPP course, or Engineering Practice and Principles course. So this is my group with my prof, one of my favorite profs in ChemEng, Prof. Satyan. In this course, we learn how to make alcohol or brew beer, as I would say. So for my group, we did apple, banana, and cinnamon. We actually brewed from scratch using yeast. So these are our sample, and for our experiment, I think it was quite decent. And we did not taste the alcohol because it contained methanol and we didn't want to die. But yeah, overall, a very fun experience. And you can see in the course, we actually end up with a presentation, a 5 minute, each person 5 minute sort of presentation to our profs and showcase what we have done. So as we call it, as in our in our course, we actually call it chalk and talk. Yeah. And moving on would be during that first year of summer, what I did was actually I went to summer school in Boston University. And it was a life-changing experience. I actually got to witness the Pride Parade, which lasted for a whole month because Boston was a very liberal country. And I also made a lot of new friends and I did my first half marathon ever. It was quite fun. And I also enjoyed a lot of good food there. And throughout this entire course in ChemEng, I actually made a lot of friends from my old school, as you can see from the left. And proceeding on and on, you can see from my EPP courses, I made friends from lab, as well as my technical elective. I actually took two technical electives this semester, project engineering as well as optimization. So then in the last photo is just the ChemEng Student Society hangout. And beyond chemical engineering, I actually managed to make friends within the CD itself. So there's my friends from projects from different modules, as well as CDO week, where I got to be a participant as well as a game master and facilitator. And those were very eye-opening experiences and highly encouraged. apart from all these official events, I also cook, run, code, and guitar. So I am currently the logistics and treasurer of Bakers and Cooks in NUS. I got to facilitate and help out with multiple events over the year in my second year in NUS. I'm also in Aquathon, NUS Aquathon, where I got to run, swim, in my free time. Apart from academics, I also do guitar, which I play for my own leisure. And I also took part in a hackathon, which we recently got first place and won for our hackathon challenge. So on top of all these academic experiences, I would think that NUS offers a lot of opportunities that allow you to expand beyond chemical engineering. So for me, I took part in a hackathon from that was not remotely relevant to chemical engineering, and I developed upon that with my coding experience from my minor in computer science. So what I can recommend is maybe as currently maybe you don't have a lot of experience, you can consider joining our Chemi challenge that I think one of our speakers have shared already, and try to develop from there if you're unsure where else to go from. And that's all for my sharing. I have included my LinkedIn, or you can just search my name and connect with me. Yeah. And I'll be handing over to the next speaker.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Jonas, for passing the time to me. Okay, so this is my student sharing. Okay, first of all, this is about me. This is me. I'm doing a second major in IDP and the process spec alongside being a chemical engineer. As you can see from this picture, I'm wearing an F1 shirt because I am a F1 fan, but I do want to preface things by saying that I bought this before Hamilton moved to Ferrari. So please don't come for me. Yeah, so everyone talked about the acads, the mods that you take. So I think I'm going to take a bit of a different approach by telling you more about the student life, the experience, and how like different side projects that I was part of that has built me to be who I am today. So first of all, I'll be talking about student life, clubs and CCAs, and what are the future work that I'll be doing. So interesting fun fact about this picture on referring to student life. I actually participated in the competition to submit a logo for chemical engineering's 50th anniversary, and I won AirPods 4. So thank you, Coco, for that. And yeah, this is the picture of that. So let's walk through. Firstly, I am an outreach ambassador. So if you have watched any of the open house videos, you would have seen me. So this is me with the baby wolfram and the big wolfram. And I also had the opportunity to interview Dr. Kartika, who will be your professor for EPP2, like the other people have mentioned. And if you haven't watched those videos, you can check them out on YouTube or our website. So this is just me being an ambassador for chemical engineering, not just chemical engineering, but CDE as a whole, because I'm also an extroverted person and I'm very happy with the decision that I made. I'm not, okay, I guess like at the start of the year, there was a bit of uncertainty whether or not chemical engineering is really for me, because I didn't really come from a background where I wanted to do engineering. But as the day progresses, I'm very happy with my decision and I hope you guys will also love it. So moving on, as being an outreach ambassador, I also get to mentor a lot of workshops that CDE arranges. So we also have a lot of workshops with NUS High or JC students, IP students as well, who are incoming students for the following batch. I'm also staying in UTown. I'm staying in UTR right now. This is my room, but the background is just UTown. So I was very, very fortunate to have really good roommates. We have meals like almost every 2 to 3 weeks. We are very close. We talk about our personal life. And this is an exchange student from Switzerland. Yeah, I know. And she's amazing. We always go out together. And I just love my roommates a lot. It's a very good community. And this is cute little robot that patrols around UTown. And he's going to be a bodyguard. Okay, he's a very cute robot. So if you see him around, you should take a picture with him. Moving on, clubs and CCAs. I mean, quite a few. Firstly, NUS Alumni Ventures, which stands for NAV. This CCA, a primary role is to link startups to VCs and angels. So in NUS, there's a lot of heavy focus on startup ecosystem. We have NOC, and we have also other kinds of initiatives, such as IDP, which is what I'm part of. So it's to encourage engineers or encourage students to take on personal projects. So personal projects and to bolster innovation. So it's like it's a countrywide thing, right? But in NUS, these are the initiatives that we have. And the thing about NUS is that we link, NAV is that we link startups to angels and VCs because most of them don't really have a lot of funding. So this is where we step in. And I am still the director of public relations, and I am currently hiring. So if you're coming and you would like to join the CCA, please let me know. Please contact me. Moving on, I was also part of NUS Mars Rover, which is a CCA that is dedicated for a competition team. So the competition itself is like building a robot, a big robot. You'll see a clip later. It should be able to like go through the terrain, the rough terrain of Mars. It should be waterproof, and it has to collectively, like actively collect samples, and it has to test the samples against like different scientific tests to see what kind of life organisms are available in Mars. So obviously the testing is not done in Mars itself, but it will be done in Utah, in America. But yeah, and for my role for that team was business team lead. I was actually scouted because of my NAV work. And also they were running short of a lot of engineers. So I also had to step in and do some of the mechanical work or like come up with some calculations for the rotor speed and whatsoever. I'm not really an IT kind of person, so I was only able to assist more on the mech side. And next, NUSCSE refers to NUS's Community Service Club. So under this Community Service Club, there are various branches leading to branching out to different kinds of organizations. The one that I worked with is called Project ACE, and the primary goal of people that we work with is elderly who come to a common area to talk to each other, to play some games, to get some data and feedback. So this is what the CCA really entails. I was the publicity head once again, and I had a lot of fun. We'll see some pictures later. And lastly, I am from ICHE, NUS Student Chapter. So although there's CHES for ChemEng students, there's also another CCA called American Institute of Chemical Engineering. And this is also another chemical engineering CCA, but we are more focused on industry-based things like how to get certain jobs or how to appeal ourselves to certain organizations that we want to be part of in the future. So the reason why I joined this is because I'm part of a competition team, which I'll be sharing later, and my role is also an external relations and a comms member. So moving on. These are some just pictures. So this is from like an event like a few days ago. Just now also I was from an NAV event, that's why I was late. But yeah, we usually have like a huge group of people. There's a lot of managing that goes around it, and it's a very fun process to see how these like high profile people seem so normal on the outside. But the questions they ask, then you're like, whoa, that seems like a very deep question. And when you see these kind of people interact and get these like try to get many people to like be part of an investor in their startup, you feel very motivated. And I think for me, that's a very important thing. These three pictures are from Project ACE. So these are my favorite uncles from the CCA. I really love talking to them. And they always tell me about their stories because they were also engineers back in NUS back in the days. So it's very fun to learn about their experiences. This is like from when we have booths during NUS CSE Day, where we have some games planned out for common students or anybody in general to come and play with us. Moving on, this is a small clip video that I filmed. So we used the drone to film a lot of shots. So this is the Mars rover. As you can see, it has 6 wheels, but it has a rocker bogie system. So each of them can move at its own velocity through a differential system. So it's very interesting, and this speaks to you. There's like electricity side. There's electricity. There's electrical side. There's a mechanical side, and there's a chemical side to this. So if this speaks to you, you can let me know, and we'll see how. And I also did a lot of passion things with Muay Thai. I know pictures here because I wasn't very good at it, and I also wasn't fluttering doing it. Muay Thai was very fun. I did it for 1 semester. I learned a lot of defense skills, and to this day, I still practice it on my friend. Also, I was UREX campaign design director. Yes, I think that's the name for it. Yeah. So what like Archie mentioned, Europe and UREX is an opportunity for students to engage in passion projects that they are interested in, and to do things that like it's not outside of the curriculum, but the school gives you funding to do research on it, which is a great thing. So my Europe UREX was actually Formula SAE, and I was particularly in the aerodynamics team. So for those who are not very familiar, Formula SAE is a competition where you build a car from scratch. It's an electric car, and then you bring it over to America to test it over different types of regulations. And then the competition criteria is not about who's the fastest car like an F1, but rather it's about what kind of processes you learn, what's the thinking process behind the different things. Like why do you design the Monarch this way, Chassis this way? What is the decision behind the wheels, the suspension. So it's a very interesting process. I had a lot of fun time, although I most of the time I felt like a factory worker there. Yeah, for the whole of December, I spent like my time drilling bolts, knocking things, and it was very hands-on. So I was able to appreciate the value of like the technical things that you learn and apply them in a hands-on experiment setting. Although I didn't really continue on with Formula SAE because it has very high commitment. You cannot do SCP, you cannot do NOC, and you have to give up all your CCAs, which I think it speaks to some people, but it was not something that I could trade off. So I decided not to continue. But these are some things that I did. So since I was part of the aerodynamics section, my Europe project was about a dynamically adjustable rear wing, which you're interested in F1 or you know in general about automotive, it's to provide downforce so that the car can move faster in essential layman term. So these are some of the software that we did, and it took a very long time, but it was so fulfilling to go through that. And yeah, another picture. So what is my future work? So as mentioned just now, I'm actually in this competition team called Chemicar Challenge. So Chemicar Challenge just means that you start and stop a car for a specific distance that you don't know unless it's the competition day itself, all from a chemical reaction. So you cannot have brakes, you cannot have sensors whatsoever. So I thought that was very interesting, and I got through my interview. And right now we are in the process of building our battery. So it's very fun. I'm also going to exchange in Hong Kong in 2026, start of 2026. And I will also be interning at George Fisher in about 2-3 days' time. So there's something to look forward for me. And lastly, for IDP, we are working on this PMA. Ignore the Pan Mian first. But as you can see, we actually, our project is incorporating sodium-ion batteries into the power cell of a personal mobility aid to assist the elderly. And this is the whole idea behind it, is to cut costs, to improve efficiency, and to help them as a whole. So our project is very complicated, but narrow it down, we will be changing a lot of things, and essentially is to help the marginalized community and to ensure that innovations can be cheap as well. And that is, I think, all that I have in general. Yeah, HKUFC and George Fisher, and that's it. You can contact me. This is my tele if you have any questions. And yeah, that's about it.
Okay, thank you, students, for sharing your experiences. Let's move on to the Q&A. We have one question about chess. Is there any requirement to join chess? How has chess benefited you in terms of your passion for chemical engineering and personality?
Okay. I'll answer this question first. So as far as I know, there isn't really a hard requirement for chess. Basically, it's up to the discretion of the EXCO committee or even the project directors, because they are the ones doing the hiring, depending whether you're being hired for like a main committee role or a subcommittee role. So it depends. But I would say it's best to have kind of like experience in event planning, event management. But even if you don't really have those kind of experiences, it's great to show that you are willing to learn from the process and that you have certain leadership skills that you can actually, and some maybe talents, like for example, maybe you can help out with media side, like designing or whatnot. If you're so if you have any like talents or any specific things you can help out with, that would be great to show. For me, I would say chess has benefited me a lot because I've kind of liked this kind of thing since I was in poly. Because in polytechnic, chemical engineering wasn't my first choice; it was my 11th choice actually, and I really didn't. Was trying to find a way to kind of like learn about chemistry itself, and then I realized that a way to do so was to join the ecosystem, basically to help out with like open house, help out with the lecturers, with their staff and other events to learn about chemistry itself. And through that process, I also developed myself in many ways. And if talking about chess, I've developed in especially my the confidence and my leadership experience, because in your pre-university years, you won't really plan events independently, right? You'll be attached to like a lecturer and they will just hold your hand as you plan. But if you come to NUS, especially chess, it's very you have full autonomy of what you do, not full autonomy, like maybe 96% autonomy of what you do. So you have basically from the start of the year to the end of the year or the day of your event, you can have actually full management of your team, and you manage like a team of maybe 20 people, and you plan an event for like maybe 100 people, for example, for me myself. And then I think maybe Archie has other experiences as well. Maybe she can share or any thoughts she has also.
No, I agree with you. I mean, it was similar to what you said. So I went into chess because back in poly I was also involved in a lot of planning activities. So I knew that when I went to uni, I wanted to like contribute. I wanted to continue the like planning events for the student body. So my department, I plan I plan industrial talks. So I engage with like company like oil and gas companies, pharmaceutical companies to come down to NUS and give a talk to the students. So I find that very like meaningful because in a way like you're helping like chemical engineering students to like introduce them to companies like yeah, they introduce them to companies that they can potentially intern in or like work in. So that was something that's unique as well. Yeah. What about Jonas?
Hello? Yes. So I was briefly in chess, but I think oh yeah, so I was supposed to go to Chile, some overseas like VIA project sort of. So what I did was I had summer school and it just nice it overlapped with the timing. So I decided to go summer school instead. Right. So I think it's not a compulsory thing to join chess. It is very good. Like I got to meet a lot of different people, like from seniors to juniors to like just friends in my level. So I think it's a good way to expand your connections. But there are also other things outside of chess, like for example, summer school or like other CCAs in NUS that you can choose to explore. So don't need to like narrow vision. Like, but that being said, it is a very good uh medium for you to make new friends, and especially if you are going to work in this industry, meet people within this industry and progress together into the workforce. Yeah.
Okay, so we have one of the questions from participants asking about if the student wants to self-study physics before entering Chem-Eng, what type of topics do you recommend that they should focus on? I mean, probably students are better to, recommend which aspects of physics, different type of physics that they use in the courses that you have studied so far. Maybe you can recommend them.
And anything else that you recommend the students to pre-study before university starts?
I think with Chem-Eng, there's a lot of things related to pressure. I'm because I didn't take physics in O levels. So the only physics I had was in poly. So judging from that and like university, there was a lot of things that related to pressure. Yeah. If there's a topic on pressure, I think that's good to brush up on. And definitely your integration, differentiation. Yeah, definitely integration, because there's a lot of like second order differential equations, a lot of integration problems that we have to solve. Yeah.
I think for me, I think for the O-level, A-level syllabus, that one, I think I can leave the A-level students to talk about it. But I feel there isn't much to kind of start per se, like in terms of physics wise. But if you want to kickstart Chem-Eng, I would suggest go to like maybe Coursera, or like some websites where they offer free courses for Chem-Eng. You can read up on those first before you enter. Or maybe if you know someone from NUS Chem-Eng, you can actually reach out to them and ask them for their notes to kickstart your studies. And if you talk about maybe talking about other stuff, maybe math, adding on to what Archie mentioned, you can also look at other things like differential equations or even linear algebra, as these are very big topics that you talk about maybe in your like your heat transfer and so on and so forth. So if you want to start, maybe that's a good place to start. Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe I share a bit from the JC side lah. I came from NUS High. It's not exactly JC, but it's sort of like JC. So, what I think is that a lot of chemical engineering, as my senior one shared with me, Chem-Eng is 60% math, 20% physics, 15% chemistry, and 5% luck. But yes, so building on what Faris and Archie has mentioned earlier, I think a good way to sort of brush up for not just chemical engineering, just engineering courses in general, would be exploring calculus and linear algebra, surely, as those two are very core and fundamental mathematical concepts for engineering. And as for physics, for people who are worried about their physics being very too weak, etc., you can look into kinematics as well, or you can look into um, mass conservation, laws of conservation, as I feel personally, for the concepts of chemical engineering in general, it all revolves around mass conservation, momentum conservation, conservation, laws of conservation in general. So if you come from, whether you come from JC or Poly, you can actually explore the math side as well as the physics side. And as you explore more and more courses, you realize that the amount of chemistry in chemical engineering is very, very little. Yeah. So if you are thinking that, oh, I want to join chemical engineering because I love chemistry, uh, yeah, I'm gonna nip this in the bud. And probably a lot of people told you this already, but chemical engineering has very little chemistry. You probably see some in like later years, where you explore the kinetics, like rate of reaction, order of reaction, etc. But that's about it. Yeah, that's all I have to share for studying in advance.
In addition to that, if you have not taken physics in JC, you will be told to take a bridging mod in the first year. The issue is that the bridging mod is in the second semester. You can't take it in your first semester, or you can, but you need to do some changes in your timetable. So because of that, I know some of my peers, I won't say they struggle a lot, but there was a little bit of resistance when they did the first mod. So I think for that, like Archie mentioned, you will need to know certain basics like pressure, H rho G lah in general. You need to know H rho G a lot. And even if you do H1 physics in JC, because I came from JC, you will still need to do a bridging mod. So only if you take H2 physics, then you won't have to do a bridging mod. So maybe you can take this into account also when you do some planning. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. We have one question. Do I need to learn coding for Chem Eng? Is it good to know? And while we're on that topic, maybe do you have any laptop recommendations for the students? Because they're asking if like Mac is a good laptop for Chem Eng.
I would say, if you want to share.
No, you go ahead, go ahead.
Okay. So I would say that coding, it's a good thing to know. For me, I mean, Polytechnic, we don't really learn coding. So it's quite a new thing for me as well. So in the curriculum itself, there are basically a few courses where you need to do coding, where number one is CS 1010E, programming methodology, and then taken in year 1, Sem 2. And then there's another one that will be on computer-aided simulation, as well as a new course called machine learning in Chem Eng. So you learn fundamentals on Python, and also you'll be able to learn how to use MATLAB itself. So coding wise, I would say it's good to know, but there's no really need to go too in depth with it. Yeah. For laptop wise, I would recommend not going for Mac because for you guys, you'll be doing when you matriculate, right? Plant design is going to be a graduation requirement. So if you want to use Aspen HiSys, which is simulation software, you can actually run it on a Mac, right? So if you want to do your work at home or you want to do it on the go, right, I would suggest a non-Mac laptop if you want to carry on with like the plant design. But rest assured, there's also resources available where the professors will open the labs, the computer labs for you to use the simulation softwares. But I would recommend not going that route or using a Mac. Yeah.
Yes. So to build on to what I said earlier, maybe I start with the easier part. For laptop, I feel there's no difference. At least for my level, I haven't reached the FYP level yet. Yeah, but for coding, I think for chemical engineering, there's not a lot of coding. There's only coding in CS mod, 1010E, which is the programming methodology, where it's taught in Python. So if you want to prepare for uni, like pre-study, you can actually consider learning Python online. CS50 is a good start. If not, there's really very little coding in chemical engineering. so far. But yeah, there are new courses in machine learning, which is likely taught in Python as well. But there's a lot of MATLAB involved in not just chemical engineering, but engineering in general. And MATLAB is a pseudocode, right? So you need to like sort of relearn how it's based in C, so you can like learn from there also. My opinion is that it is a good thing to learn beforehand also, and it also allows you to branch out into other opportunities. Like for myself, I took a minor in CS because I took the course in 1010E and I thought it was kind of fun. Then I decided to branch out to do other CS mods in NUS. So yeah, so I would say coding for me personally is a very vital part in my academic plan, but it's not a necessary part, but it's a good to have skill. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I think a lot of students will be interested in this question. How is the bell curve like?
I would say it depends on the module and depends on the number of students taking the module. So yeah, it varies with courses. So for uh chemical engineering courses, it can be steep if the question papers are easy. But I mean, I did thermodynamics in NUS, and I would say that bell curve was not too bad, I think, Faris. Yeah.
Okay, like it's okay, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Um,
but for other courses I heard for heat transfer, the bell curve was very steep. So it really varies with the different courses that you take.
Yeah. Just to share a bit also, for myself, I actually taken a lot of off cycle modules. Like I took heat transfer in Sem 1 instead of Sem 2. And the number of students in my class was like 10. Yeah, so there wasn't a bell curve, but like all modules in NUS is moderated. So uh, if you take a module, there's naturally someone who's better, someone who's not as good, and a natural kind of like order forms. So it's like the moderation will kick in from there. So it's not really you shouldn't really ask how the bell curve is like, but rather you should ask like how many people are taking the module, right? And how how many people are going to get A and how is it going to get moderated. But in my honest opinion, grades are not really that important and you shouldn't be too concerned before coming to uni. Yeah, enjoy your first year SU.
Okay, there's a question. Is it hard to maintain a good GPA and get first class honors?
Depends who you're asking, honestly. I mean, um, I would say just do your best. Again, I would say depending on the course, depending on the cohort, right? Whether you get that, especially because if you're taking those on-season courses where there's like 100 people taking at the same time. But I would say that yes, you have to put in the hard work and the effort to get the edge over the others. Um, but again, try your best to enjoy the journey because you don't you're just in university for like these 4 years and after that you're probably going to work. So I would say that yes, you try your hardest to do what you need to do and get the grades that you need to, but just enjoy the process as well. Yeah. I mean it's hard, yes, but it's not impossible, I would say. Yeah.
I think for this, what I would like to share is that GPA is not everything. Obviously, if it's your ambition to get a first class honor, there's no harm at all, and it's something to be respected for. But I think what really matters most is how you make use of your university experience to gain exposure and to gain a skill set that you think will be specific and more applicable to the industry that you're interested in. So for people who are interested in the semiconductor industry, they will be doing a process specialization. And as far as I'm concerned, GPA really, really only matters if you want something like a graduate program, or you want to do masters immediately right off the bat, most places they will look at GPA, but it's like only like a intermediary thing. They want to see more of who you are as a person and what kind of experiences you bring to the table. So GPA is not everything.
Yeah, to add on to that, a lot of employers nowadays, they don't just look at your results, they look at your soft skills as well. So how are you as a person working in a team, and they want to see if you can work well in a team. If not, they probably wouldn't take you. That's the more important thing to them, because hard skills can be taught and soft skills is something that's developed over the years. So yeah, so these are the things that the employers look at it nowadays. So GPA requirement is really, really the not really as important as last time, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for your advice. There is a student asking, can you recommend the courses which are best to SU in the first and second year?
Definitely if you
Uh,
don't like coding, sorry, if you don't like
no, go
coding,
ahead.
CS 1010E. That's the yeah, a lot of students, including myself, I SU that. Yeah.
Uh,
Mm.
my opinion on this is there are there are two categories and school of thought. So on the left side there is the core modules, and on the right side there's a fluff modules. So the general rule of thumb is what are good modules to SU is modules that are considered fluff. Modules that are core would be less desirable to SU. Yes.
I think another thing is that after year two, the number of mods that you can SU is actually very little already. You can only SU 1K or 2K mods, and some 2K mods also cannot SU. So don't try to save up your SU. There's no point.
Okay, I think that's a follow-up question, but won't fluff mods be easier to score in?
Some
Uh,
mods are. Sorry.
no, it's
Some mods
okay.
some mods are, but some mods they take up more time than your course, like core courses. So it really depends on the fluff mods that you're taking that sem. Yeah.
Okay, my opinion for this is that okay, I will build on the part where the person just now asked like how to maintain good GPA and first class honors. My opinion is first semester, uh, lock in, right? So you'll take a lot of fluff modules in your first semester. Just try your best to score well in it. And it's a lot of group projects. So it's like if you get a good group, you will know from the start, like, okay, I'm gonna do decently well, so I will try hard. But if you get a bad group, yeah, you know that it's okay, SU. So that's how I filter. Then from there, my second semester, I strategically took 32 MCs, technically it was 10 modules, but combined together it was 32 MCs. Then I SU'd three of those modules. Then I took summer school and SU'd like two more modules. So there is a strat to maintaining first class honors. And yeah, but like my fellow speakers said, GPA is not everything unless you're considering postgrad. Yeah, so I wouldn't be too concerned about it. And over time, as Shruti mentioned, there are less courses that you can SU. So definitely make full use of it in your first year. So for JC, you have 5 SUs. Plan like which 5 mods you are. You already know like, okay, I'm not gonna do very well. Like let's say you're not very strong in math, then you will take all the math first and SU in the first year. If you know that you're not very good in like presenting, you're not good at like fluff, like in general, just take them earlier, SU them earlier. That is my recommendation. Yes, I see a question called that says what is summer school? Excellent question. So summer school is essentially an exchange program that you can choose to go in the summer to map modules. outside of your core modules. So for me, I'm doing a second minor in CS, right? So I met two of my CS modules in summer school. But of course, it doesn't count towards your like it's not a regular NUS semester, so you have to pay the partner university school fee to met those modules. Just FYI, it's going to be very expensive. For me, I went to Boston, right? In US, I went for 7.5 weeks. I spent a total of 19K SGD. Yeah, it was not cheap, yes.
Okay, there is a question that asks, are there any additional fees or subscription required for software such as MATLAB?
No, as long as you're a student, you will be given you're given MATLABs and S1 Plus for free. I think it's included in your fees. I'm not sure, but we didn't have to pay any fees when we were downloading the softwares.
Actually, there's a list of softwares that are subscribed by NUS. So MATLAB is one of them. They got the package, right? So every student, whether you are in business, whether you are in engineering, you actually have a subscription to MATLAB. So once you have your own NUS like account, right, you can start accessing the premium version of MATLAB for free. There are also other softwares like Overleaf that you can use for LaTeX. Yeah, these are two that I know of so far. Oh yeah, cosmology also.
Okay, I think that kind of rounds up our questions. Well, I typed the answer to the last one. Maybe the rest can help me to fill up this feedback form so that we can improve the session for your future juniors who will join this talk next time. Okay. Can scan the QR code and let us know your feedback. And if you are interested to speak to your professors and seniors, please join us next week for the CDE Open Day on Saturday. You can also scan the QR code to sign up.